Hi Flosstube friends, I'm Sherry, Colorado Cross Stitcher here on Flosstube, also on Instagram and coloradocrossstitcher.com. This is my Flosstube about my own personal cross stitching and also a little bit about the shop at the very end. So today I have Lexi here to show Lexi off because Barbara from Stitch Night said say hi to Ollie and the other one because she couldn't remember what Lexi looked like because I hardly ever show Lexi, and the reason I hardly ever show her is because Ollie is happy to lay like a baby in my arms and Lexi does not like to be held. Did you hear that? She won't smack me, but she'll get pretty vocal and her tail gets very flippy. So anyways, this is Lexi. She's I think she's 8 and I think Ollie is 7. I don't know, I can't remember, but she's a little bit older than Ollie. She's half the size of Ollie and she rules the roost and she's really mad at me for talking, so I'm gonna let her go. But she wanted to say hi to Barbara. Okay, you're done. Gosh. Okay, I have so much to talk about today as usual because it's 4 weeks since I did my last Flosstube. So first of all, let me start with the calendar. You know, a lot of us keep our stitching calendars and I always sticker mine up. Contrary to my scrapbooking method, I way over sticker my calendars because I love it. I love looking for stickers. I love popping them in there. And then June just started, so not much on June yet. So today I want to talk about, I have framed pieces, I have my 3 new sampler starts, I have 2 pillow finishes, I have the tiniest thing that I have ever stitched. I made 3 of them and I will never make them again because holy cow, that was really calling on my eyes to do some above and beyond kind of eyesight. So let's jump right in. So for Mania, Stitch Mania is in May. Some people start a new thing every day. Some people start 23 new things for 2023. Some people start a new thing a week. I decided to start 1 new project each week. And then after I got 3 done, my 4th project was also going to be a Adam and Eve sampler. And I thought, okay, I'm done starting samplers. So I have 3 starts. I worked on each one of them for a week. And I'm going to open my calendar back up so I can tell you what the fabrics are that I used. Now I have a Lexi fur. Okay. So I started, glasses, Frances Eden by Handwork samplers, and this is I did mine on 40 count platinum. So here's the sampler, and what I loved about this sampler is number 1, no border, and I thought, well, that's going to be very fun to do. But I like all the angels in it. I like the 2 houses at the bottom. I like the wave of clouds across the top. So there were a lot of really fun things in there. So this is a week's work, and you know, I work all day, so I stitch in the evenings and I stitch on Sundays. So this is where I got to on Frances Eden, and I really love the colors. This is just regular DMC. It calls for DMC, and it was fun to stitch. You know, when you stitch a sampler like this with all kinds of little motifs, every time you finish a motif, it feels like a little mini finish. So again, that's on 40 count platinum. I promise I ironed these. It is so hard to get linen smooth. Thank goodness when you frame, you pull it tight enough and all the wrinkles go out, but good grief. And then I did Elizabeth Furnace, and that is on Vintage Sand Dune by Lakeside Linen, and I'm doing that on with a Versoise. So here is this one, and I was inspired to do this one by several people on Instagram and Flosstube. And I'm going to point out, because I had to make a change on this. So Dear Francis, I stitched the main big apple tree and Adam and Eve. And I'm going to hold this up close, and I want you to look at right above where all the branches branch out on the tree. She didn't connect her branches. The middle branch, and the side branch are not connected to the tree trunk. Can you see that? And, you know, I just couldn't do that. I couldn't have free-floating branches. So I decided, after I stitched it the way she stitched it, I decided to connect the branches. So here's my progress on that. And then, you know, it's kind of fun how when you work on different samplers, sometimes you kind of get to know the thoughts of the girl. Maybe it's because of the way she put different motifs in, and you can tell, oh, she loves animals, or some of the colors she uses, and you think, oh, she's just a really bright colored girl, or whatever. After I got this stitched and then I started putting in the missing tree trunk, I thought, oh, that's why she did that. And the reason she did it is because I think she had stitched the main tree trunk and then she stitched the snake, and she had the snake wrapped around. So you couldn't really put a tree trunk. You could have put a tree trunk behind so it makes it look like it's coming from the front. But I think what she did is she just thought, oh, well, the snake's there now, so now I can't attach the trunk. So I did leave a little chunk out for the snake, but still attached it. And this was, I just had so much fun stitching this because it's a lot different color to me than the pattern. See, the pattern looks a lot more mulberry, more dark burgundy, which I really like. But I like these too. So it's very colorful. It's fun to stitch with all the different colored leaves going on, all the different colored apples going on. And I like the chunky Adam and Eve. They're just a little bit chunky. And they don't have any clothes on. I mean, it's not rude looking, no clothes, but that took me around the shop because I was curious as to how many Adam and Eve samplers have clothes, fig leaves, whatever, on, and how many don't. And it was, there are less samplers that have all naked Adam and Eves than have the fig leaf or whatever. That is a random fact that I'm sure you needed to know. So these are the ones that do not have them on. So that was my second sampler start that I worked on for a week. And then my third one was Barbara Anna's The Fall. And I did this one on 40 count Confederate Gray. And this one I worked on for the week, and then when I decided to not start a fourth one, I picked it back up to do a couple more days on it, and I just can't believe it hardly looks like I made any progress, and I don't know why that is. But this is a week plus a couple of days. I think those letters just take for gosh darn ever. I love the angels in the middle, and I thought, wouldn't that make a really pretty little birth announcement too if you just did that middle section and then all of the details below? But there are a lot of words on this, and I think once I get the words done, I'll feel like the rest of it can go pretty quickly. I mean, there's still a significant amount of stitching, but the words tell the story, which I love. And I think if you have a Sunday school wall, like Carol Saltbach Stitcher says, or an Adam and Eve wall, I think it's fun to have one sampler that tells the story of Adam and Eve, and that's what this does. So, and I have wanted to start that one for a long time. So I love my May, I love my Stitch Mania stuff because it was all things that I've had kitted up that I've been really wanting to start stitching, and they were super fun to work on. Okay, Then I had another start because this is June 2nd. Yesterday was June 1st, the start of Cross Stitch Camp. It's our 3rd annual Cross Stitch Camp. I will talk a little bit more about it in a little bit, but this is my project for Cross Stitch Camp. The challenge for June is to stitch something with a bird. And I'm telling you what, I'm having so much fun looking at all of your Instagram posts for camp with your birds. So I just got a little bitty start last night, and there's my start, little flag. Now I have other things, other things that I want to do. This is my little bag of possibilities. Bag of small possibilities, small bag of possibilities. It's my bag that has all my smalls kitted up. And I have a couple of other ones that I want to do as, like, if I get done with this bird, maybe I'll just do birds all month. I don't know. So this one is from Scattered Seed Samplers Club. And you can find that on Etsy under Scattered Seed Sampler. And she's still selling it, so I feel like you could get this kit. And then another one comes out in June. Maybe she has extras, or maybe she prorates it to whatever. This is the one I was originally going to do. I'm telling you what, I've changed my mind on camp projects so many times it's not even funny. And I also love, now does this have a bird in it? It's just in my small bag, yes. So I also kitted this one up from Teresa Kogut because I think that's so cute. Wait, yeah. So, and then I have another one that's even by my stitching chair that is also Scattered Seed Sampler that has the strawberry on it. So I have lots of bird projects for this month. A lot of bird possibilities. Okay, now let's get to some finishes. So I showed this one last time. Fresh Lemonade by Primrose Cottage. And if you are trying to teach a friend or a relative or somebody that you know how to cross stitch, I think the Primrose Cottage patterns are so great for new beginning cross stitchers because they're big, they're colored, I'm just going to flash it, they're colored, they're easy to read. And so when we have people come in the shop who are brand new to cross stitching, I usually have them find something like this. Nice sizes and like I said, really easy to read. And I think having a graph with colors on it is easier for beginners too. But anyway, here's the little finish that I did. So I put a little bit of yellow, a little bit of green, same green on the back. And I think I mentioned this last month when I showed you the finish. I don't have a lot of summer little pin pillows, so this is kind of fun to have a summer thing that I can put out. Although all of my stitching ends up at the shop, so it's not like I have it around the house, except for things that are maybe no longer in print, and then I get to keep it at my house. So the next one I did was the Embroideress, and I don't remember if I showed that last time or 2 videos ago. It is a drum, and what I loved about it is it says Embroideress and Needlewoman, she who ornaments with needlework. She who ornaments with needlework. I thought that was really cool. I was going to make it, well, I hadn't decided if I was going to make it in a drum or if I was going to frame it, but it ended up my fabric was too small, so I had to reconfigure it a little bit. I had already done Embroideress and Needlewoman, and I'd done the side piece, and then all of a sudden I paid attention to it when I took it out of the hoop one night, and I thought, well, that's not all gonna fit below what's supposed to be below. So and off to the side. So anyway, this is how I ended up. I just recharted the words and put them underneath, and then I made it into a little pillow. Because it's so hard to find a frame this small. I still thought I might want to frame it, but no, it's fine as a pillow. I think it's cute. And I love the sentiment behind it. And then I just added the pom-pom trim, which I glued on, which I've never glued on pom-pom trim. And who was it was in the shop? Last week or the week before, when we were talking about the pom-pom trim and how you have to peel off part of the trim so it just leaves the pom-poms. And anyway, she said you could glue it on, so I tried it, and sure enough you can. And with that Aliens Tacky Glue, you can't even see where it was glued. So I love how that one turned out. Then the tiniest thing I've ever stitched, and I stitched 3 of them because 2 of them are for somebody else, 2 other people, which I'm not going to show you necessarily because I haven't given them to the people yet, but you can see I stitched 3. And I stitched mine first because I knew if I stitched the other 2 first, I would not do one for myself. I've learned that about myself. So this is 1/1 on 46 count. That's the one that was asking a whole lot of my eyesight. And I'm going to see if I can, let's see if I can hold it up on here so you can see it and so that the camera focuses on it. And I did full crosses because I didn't like the look of the half crosses on that. And it's just a little pattern that I doodled up. It's not a, I just had to make it small enough to fit in. So this is the Tim Holtz lockets that you can get, I don't know, online probably. I ordered it. And so I had to make it small enough to fit on there. And I was originally going to stitch it on 56 count over 1, which I tried, and I realized I was an idiot and there was no way I was going to do 56 count over 1. And so then I did the 46 count. So anyway, it's just kind of a fun little thing to wear. And I'm going to the Bristol weekend at the Attic in Arizona next weekend, which I'm super, super excited about. And I'm going to wear my little Bristol necklace to that. So I will not do that again. And I was right. I would never have done a 3rd one if I had done the other 2 and then had mine left. So I'm happy to have all 3 of these finished, but we're not doing that again. And I thought, you know, after I got done stitching these, and I had my reading glasses on, I had my magnifying lamp, and I just pulled that lamp really up close, and it really tired my eyes out to do it. And it took way longer. I mean, you look at that and you'd think, oh yeah, well that's tiny. That probably didn't take too long. I mean, it took hours to stitch because there are so many stitches in there. And then to have, Paul cut a little mat board for me, and then I laced the back, and it was just, I love it, but it's not going to be done again. So I'm glad they're done. And I can't wait to go to Bristol next weekend. And if you have not been to Bristol and you love the Bristol samplers, you really should look into that. Jean has that every June, and I think it's just going to be just wonderful to learn more about the Bristol heritage and the kinds of samplers they all did. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's the teeny tiniest thing I've ever done, 1/1 on 46 count. I don't know, I kind of got in my head I could do 56 count over 1 because I thought somebody mentioned somebody had done that. That's a lot of somebodies. I was sure I had heard of somebody doing over 1 on 56 count. If it was you, leave a comment below because I'd love to know. I won't do it, but I'd love to see yours. All right, so then I framed 4 pieces this month, and I'm looking forward to getting those up on the wall at the shop. So the first one is Winter Rose Manor. And this was a kit that I got when I went to a Shepherd's Bush retreat, and I think that was in 2018. So this was the retreat piece that Brenda did for that retreat, and I loved it from the start because you know how I love cardinals. And so I stitched that. It was a Christmas Day start that I did with Christy from Crosshatch Quilts. And I think I finished it at the end of January. I've just never framed it. I got a frame. I looked for that frame that everybody frames it in that you get at Hobby Lobby, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I ordered a frame, and it came in and it was too white. So I went to the store and bought some cream colored paint, which, you know, if that ever happens to you, it's easy to find a paint color to match the exact color of your thread. And so anyway, Paul painted it for me. And here's the framed piece. I don't think I made any changes to this except something in here. I feel like I added another heart instead of, oh, I think there was another initial somewhere in here, and I just had both my initials up there already, so I didn't need that space, so I just added in a heart. And then the only other change I made was I used Weeks Dye Works Sanguine for the pink house, because the called for color wasn't showing up as pink as I wanted it. And that's really what I love. Another thing I love about this piece is the pink house besides the cardinals. And I really wanted that pink to look pink. So Sanguine is what I used. That's Weeks, right? Sanguine? It was Sanguine. I'm not sure if it was Weeks. I can't remember. So that was the first one that I framed. I do not like framing. I did like a whole day, all 4 of these, and I'd just rather be stitching. It's not like it's really hard to do the framing. I just always rather be stitching. So the next one I framed was this 2023 Collector's Heart. This comes in a kit. We just restocked these at the shop. And the fun thing about it is you get the fabric, which is 32 count linen. You get the hank of Cottage Garden Threads red, one of their reds, and you get the little button that goes on there. So that's all in your kit. And I wanted a chunky frame because I liked how that looked chunky, but I got a little bit of texture on my chunky frame. So this is that piece framed. It was a quick, easy stitch, you know, and I love hearts. And the alphabet is simple and quick. Simple, I don't mean simple like not creative, because it's a cute alphabet, but it just doesn't, it's not very thick, the letters, so it doesn't take that long to stitch. And I have good memories of this one because I stitched it in my brother's living room, looking out the window, and you remember he lives where my grandparents used to live, so that was just a fun afternoon of stitching and having good memories of that. So, love how that one turned out. And then I stitched this one. So this is Spring Hair by La Di Da. And you might remember this one. I added a second color in because I thought that would be kind of fun. So I did my alphabet and the little dots and his bow tie in a teal color, and I used sulky threads. So I stitched this on 36 count. 36 count is perfect for sulky threads. And I like how he turned out. I did not pin stitch all of these, and you can kind of see my traveling thread through there, and I'm just going to be okay with it because that would have driven me crazy to do all those pin stitches. I still like how it turned out, and I think like when it's back up on a wall, people aren't even going to pay attention to that, right? Tell me people aren't going to pay attention to that. So that was a fun one to get framed up. Although, next time I have a border like that where it's just a straight square border, I'm letting somebody else pin it and frame it because that about drove me nuts trying to get all those lines straight. I think that's why I like samplers without borders too, because they're easier to frame. And then the last one I framed was this Stitch Every Day, which I love this piece so much. From Hands On Design, Kathy. And here is that one. I just wanted a simple frame for this one because I've got a lot of, I added in extra different stitches down here. I think there's a rice stitch and an Algerian eye and something else. I don't remember what, but it calls for satin stitches, that pink line. I think that's where it is, satin stitches. See, I took the cover page out so you didn't have to look at the shiny plastic, so I can't look at the pattern. But I tried doing the satin stitches and they look terrible. So I decided to do, so I'll hold this up closer. Let's see. So you can see some of those specialty stitches in that border below. And I really had fun doing the specialty stitches. I love the rice stitch. The rice stitch is like you make a big X, like instead of going 2 over 2, maybe you go 4 over 4. You could probably still do 2 over 2. That's a time. Yeah, that would still work. Anyway, I am working on one right now with an alphabet that I changed into a rice stitch, and I'm doing 4 over 4. So you make your X, and then you go over the top of it and hit the in-between points and make stitches there. So you make an X, and then you make like a diamond shape or a square shape turned on its side on top of it. I didn't explain that very well, but you can Google it. Anyway, I like doing rice stitch. I like doing different stitches sometimes, and I think the texture and the look it adds to the piece is kind of fun. So that's what I did on that one. So those are my starts, my finishes, and my framed projects for this month. All right, let's see. What else are we going to talk about today? Let me look at my notes. I still write notes. It's Flosstube number 40, and I still have to write notes to myself. All right, let's talk a little bit about camp, Cross Stitch Camp. It's our 3rd year. It's virtual. It's free. We have people all over the world doing it. So please join in if you would like to join in with us. There are camp badges. So I have this fun camp project bag that Chris made for me the 1st year of camp. And all of these badges are free patterns on our website that you can make. And I'm going to talk in a minute about changing out. Last time on my Flosstube, I talked about 10 ways you can personalize your projects, and I had some questions about how to figure out how to do the motif or what size or what have you. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But even if you're not going to do camp with us, these project badges are fun to stitch up without the words Cross Stitch Camp, and then add in, you know, like this little bird. This is the pink bird of stitchiness, and that's our camp badge this year. But you could stitch the cute bird and just put Happy Spring under it, and that would be a fun stitch. Same with the snowman with the tomato sweater on. You could just stitch that little piece, and that would be a cute scissor fob or project bag fob. You could stitch the little camper and say Happy Summer. So there are a lot of ways to adapt a lot of these badges. If you're not doing camp, you're still welcome to the badge. So the camp challenge for June, as I said, was do a piece with a bird in it. The one for July is do a piece that has something that grows, plants, flowers, animals, people, whatever grows. And then August is try something new. And I'm telling you, I've changed my mind, not only on my June project, but in planning ahead. I think I just like picking up projects with a challenge in mind, because especially for August, I keep saying, oh, that's a new designer, I'm going to do that one. And I think of another thing, oh, that's a different kind of fabric, I'm going to try that. Or that's a different finish, I think I'm going to try that. And so it is fun to pick your projects. I just feel like I'm all over the place on it. So we'll see what I end up with. But if you're going to do camp, here's my reminder, because I still have people using the wrong hashtags, and when you don't use the correct hashtags on Instagram, I just don't see it. It doesn't come up on that hashtag list. So the hashtag that I look for on Instagram is Cross Stitch Camp 2023 and Colorado Cross Stitcher. So I'm going to hold these up in case you need to take a screenshot. I'm not going to mention all the variations of the hashtag that people use, but they don't show up when I'm looking for them. Sometimes I'm just friends with you and I happen to see that you have put your camp picture there and I haven't liked it yet, and I think, why haven't I liked it? Well, it's because it has the wrong hashtag, so it doesn't show up in my list. So be sure to post a picture of your supplies the first day of the month or anytime after the first of the month, and then post another picture at the end of the month with your finished project. And it's okay if you don't finish, but if you use this, go on Instagram and put in this hashtag. There's hundreds and hundreds of photos already up there, so go have a look because it's fun to see what everybody's doing. All right, what I wanted to talk about today for the little, I just like to have some kind of a little learning thing, whatever. And so what I'm going to talk about today is how to switch things out. So we talked last time about it's fun to switch things out. So let's say there is a flowering bush in a sampler that you don't care for. Well, you can go through and find a bird to put in there, or a dog to put in there, or maybe you want to put your name or your grandparents' name or something else in there. So how do you, I had questions from people, how do you know what size to make it and how it's going to fit in there? So I sent this out in our email newsletter this week, but I thought I would just quick show this to you guys too. So this is my Be My Valentine pattern. It's a free pattern, and I designed it so it's okay for me to show the whole pattern on Flosstube. That's why I used my own pattern. But I want you to look at where I outlined the word be. So that is in red. Can you see that? So that is the size I have to work with. I decided for this example I was going to change it to say Paul, be my Valentine, because that's my husband and that would be a cute way to personalize. So I made a box the size that I had to work with, and I marked the middle of that box. Do you see where that red dot is in the middle? Then I took a piece of graph paper. Now you can download graph paper for free on the internet. So just Google free graph paper. I mean, if you don't have a pad of graph paper, which a lot of us have who are cross stitchers, but you can also find it on the internet. And so then I took well, I'll show you. I have two pieces here. So I had my, let's try and figure out how it fits, and then I have, okay, now let me put it into place in true size. So I made the same size box on my graph paper, and I also marked the center of that box. And once I had done my letters, then I plugged them in so that they are mostly centered, and I added a little heart because I had extra room. Once you've done that and you've got your center there and you've got your center here, it's easy to go back to this pattern and then just fill in these letters, and you're going to orient your stitching based on the middle dot. So that's the thing that remains the same in both of your patterns, and it's easy to pop it in. And because you have drawn a line in the space you want to change out and made that same space over here, you know that it's going to fit perfectly, it's going to be centered the way you want it, and so that's a super easy way to do that. Now, what happens if you want to change things up and add things in, but you don't want to graph the whole thing? So an example of that is the Schoolhouse series, and I showed you this the last time, but I wanted to do them all as one. And so I had somebody email me today and ask, well, can you, like, how did you do that? And so I thought, well, while it's fresh in my mind, I'm going to talk to you about it. So for this one, I did the first one as designed. So I just fudged this. I did not chart it out because holy cow, that would take forever. I actually sat down with graph paper and started, and I thought, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stitch as it goes. So make sure that you have a piece big enough so that you have a wiggle room. I just added up all of the patterns, how wide would it be, and what was the deepest or the tallest piece, and I knew I wanted it to be that tall because I didn't want to be shrinking anything down. So I stitched the first one as shown in the pattern set. That one is stitched just like that. All right, then the next pattern in this, so there was nothing to change on that one. The next pattern looks like this. And I wanted the man to be facing the lady because I wanted it to look like, well, he's handing her flowers or a flowering branch. And so I had to kind of change that around a little bit. And in changing those two, I also had to change the letters that came with them. But it wasn't a big deal. Excuse me. So I stitched the guy, and then I had to put in some of the different letters, and then I stitched the lady, and of course I had to change her letters out too. And when I had to change her letters out, she had some wider letters because now all of a sudden she has the LMNN, LMNO. So I had to make a bush here. First I put in the letters, and then I filled in the bush below to kind of take up the space down there. A lot of it was stitch what I know I want in there and then fill in the space if need be. And then the third one was a little shorter, so it wasn't, these aren't all the same height, and I needed them to be the same height. So this is what the third one looks like, the house. And so I changed the placement of some of the letters. You see how I had to do, let's see if you can see that. Okay, tickle in my throat. You can look at this while I take a drink. So I put the O up here in the border, and that kind of mimicked these letters that were up in the border. And it also made it taller, and I also added that floral border in kind of to match this floral border that we had going on. And then I had a space here, so I popped in a butterfly. I added a few more birds in this piece. The same birds, same pattern. I just put it in different places where I need some fill in. And then the last one is really short. I'll show you what that looks like on a pattern. Really short because it also has a pattern for a cute little strawberry, I think, which I always meant to do. So this is the last one. So on my piece I did the last one, and then I had to do a border up here to kind of continue on and take that up. And then I rounded the corner, and I just used the same corner round that was over here. And I just carried that border down until it met the pattern as it was written. And then I put my little personalization in there. That was perfect space to put that in there. So whether you plan out and graph out and size out exactly what you're going to do for maybe a smaller change out like I did with that free pattern I showed you, or you want to add a bunch of things together, whether it's from the same designer or different designers. Now, wouldn't that be kind of fun? Like pulling different, similar style, similar kind of topic, but all different designers. I'm gonna have to think on that. Now I kind of want to do that. So that would be super fun. Anyways, whether you do it planned out or not planned out, just give yourself enough fabric to kind of jump into it and move along. And it was really fun to kind of figure it out as I went along. And a lot of times, like I said, I just used things that were already charted, that this is a width I needle and thread that Brenda had already charted, and just added them in a different place. So, you know, the bush that I put in there was taken off of the branch he was already holding and she was already holding. So I just copied the same leaves, copied the same flowers, just stuck them into a pot. You know, same with the border. I just used the same border. And when I added in extra birds, I just used her pattern for birds and just put them in different places. So anyway, it's something fun to experiment with if you're of a mind to do that. Okay. So let's move on to my 3 things. What are my 3 things today? I have fun things for you. Where did I, oh, here. Okay, so the first one is an Etsy shop that I think I heard about from Laura, Brenda the Serial Starter, and that is called As the U Flies, and U is Y-O-O, and it's all one word on Etsy. And I ordered these really super cute thread keeps. You could also put them on your project bag, which is what I think I'll do because I want to have them, you know, around all the time. But aren't they adorable? She has all, well, of course I wanted this one because it's vintage stitcher. And then I just love this home collage. She has another collagey one on there right now that I really love. And then she adds a bead and some floss down here. She finishes off the edges. She zigzags them on, I guess, on her machine. And then the back says, keep calm and stitch on. So she has some super cute ones. And I will, of course, link to her below in my show notes so that you can pop over and check her out. Just really creative. All right, second one is, and Bonnie told me about this. Bonnie, who works at Colorado Cross Stitchers, I know you've gotten orders from her before that say thank you and have her name on it. She told me about paisleys and polka dots, and that was a sad, sad day when she told me about that because I just had so much fun on their website. So paisleys and polka dots, she has all kinds of wooden kits and she has pre-cut them on her CNC router cutter, which is an amazing machine. Paul used to have one. And she just does it. She's so creative. She's so creative. I looked through her whole website and I just thought, oh my gosh, I want to make all of them. So I ordered several of them and I thought I would show you, and of course I will link below to her website, but I got them super ship quicking too. Super quick shipping. Holy cow, that was a big one. Quick shipping. I'm not saying it again. I'm going to screw it up. Okay, so the first one I got was long wood decor frame. I got this because this is perfect for the tiny towns. And right now my plan is to do the fall tiny town in July for camp because it has sunflowers which grow. So it comes like this with instructions here, and you can paint it like this one is painted white. I don't know if I'll paint mine. I probably will paint mine like a sunflower color because I think that would really make that piece pop. But it has all the pieces so that it is a standing frame when you're done. Isn't that adorable? I probably will have to order more for other tiny towns. Then I ordered this one because I'm going to design something because it's just so cute. And this is a, let's see, it doesn't have a picture of the whole house. It's a cafe. So it's a stand-up house, and then there's a space here for your cross stitch piece. And again, the stand, you can see the stand, it slots right in. You paint it the color that you want to paint it. And it might be a good idea to pick out your paint color and then pick out floss colors that perfectly match your paint color. Remember, we've talked about that before, because when you do that, it really looks like a custom design, like a custom piece, because, you know, it exactly matches your paint color. So you might think of that. Think of what pattern you want to do. Go to one of the craft stores, find the paint color you like, and bring it home and see, you know, if it has green in it, is that the green that matches, or what green matches your paint perfectly. So then I got, oh my gosh, this is so cute. Okay, this is a lantern. And then you hang the ornament and you put your stitching on the ornament. And she used a splatter, like, you know how you can take a toothbrush, dip it into white paint, and kind of use your finger to splatter it on. So she had done that in the sample she shows on her website, so it looks like kind of a granite, kind of a, so cute. And then I also got the snowflake that can hang in there. And I also got the heart that can hang in there. So this piece is fun because you can change it out with the season. This stuff is so fun. And then this one is totally nothing to do with finishing my stitching on it, but it's coffee. And I thought, well, I'm going to finish that and put it by our coffee stand in the shop. And so when you order something with the papers, she sends the papers that you need. The only thing you don't get is the paint and the paint brushes. But in here is the different things I need, and here's that little piece. Again, comes nicely put together, all of the pieces. So that was a fun find and an unfortunate find, because I've already started filling my cart again for things that I want to get from her. So take a look at that. Super cute stuff, and really well priced, really well packaged, and quick shipping. There you go. This time I did it right. Okay, I had to come back and insert number 3 because I got all excited talking to you about paisleys and polka dots and totally forgot number 3. So number 3 of my 3 things is a new Instagram account for you to check out. It's David M. Bird, and I will link to that below. And he's so creative. He makes these little creatures out of acorns, and then he puts, like, they'll be holding an acorn cup and he'll put a berry in there or seeds in there, and then he waits until the bird comes up and he takes a picture of the bird eating out of the little cup or standing on the little stick that he's having the little acorn man hold. And so he shows you his process, and then he shows you the resulting picture, and it's very cool. So that's number 3 of my 3 things, and I will link to that below. I wanted to show you 2 other things that I found when I was looking for paint this week at Hobby Lobby. And so one of them is this piece here, which I was just going to design something, you know, a word or something to put on here. But then, do you remember this piece that I did that I showed you a while back, where I did it as a demo for you so you could see what one thread, this is 32 count, 1 thread over 1 stitch, 2 threads over 2 stitches, 4 over 4 and 6 over 6, and how you can use the same size fabric and get different sized pieces. And I was in my office today and I thought, well, I've wanted to finish this to have it at the shop for a sample, for a display when people are asking about different sizes, and I thought that's going to finish perfectly on this little stand. So now I'll have to get another one to do something fun cross stitching, not reference cross stitching. And then the other fun thing that I got at Hobby Lobby that I really like is this little stool. And Chantel from 141 just put that into Floss to Instagram. Chantel 141, she'll come up. She also does some of this wood cutting, and she has a really cute idea for this little chair. And right now it's, I don't know, 40 or 50% off because it's in their spring shop, and they have it in white, and they also have it in natural, which would also be pretty as a natural color, or you can paint it any color you want. But then you put different pillows and different displays, and it makes a really cute seasonal kind of corner. So that was fun to find. This was the last one in my Hobby Lobby, but they had the natural color one, so that was good. All right, let's talk about giveaway from last time. And the winner of my giveaway from last time is Patty Atelier. Anyway, Patty, if you can get a hold of me, if I didn't really butcher your name, this cute little gnome project bag is coming to you. And this is courtesy of Deborah at Joyful Stitching Store on Etsy. I always link to her in my Flosstube notes. So that one's going out to Patty. And then we have another one from Deborah. She makes such nice project bags. Look how cute that is. Bikes with flowers. And then for our giveaway, she always adds in the little accessory case and the couple skeins of DMC that match. So let's see. I know I picked a word already to have you use. All right, let's use the word camp, since we're all about camp, cross stitch camp. If you'd like to be entered into this giveaway, use the word camp in your comment, and we'll use the random picker and find a winner next time. All right, question from last time was your favorite kind of project bag. So do you like the fabric covered, all fabric ones, which was our last time we had a giveaway 2 times ago, or do you like the ones that have the vinyl front? And I like both, I think, and it was kind of evenly split. A lot of you felt like you liked the vinyl ones so you can see what's in there, which is why I like the vinyl ones. But some of you said the ink on your patterns rubs off on the vinyl if it gets hot, and it can do that. I've had it do that before. So now I'm just really careful to put, if my pattern is in plastic, I put that at the front. If my pattern is not, I just tuck it behind the fabric or the threads. I just don't let the printed part of the ink up against my vinyl. So, and you also can remove that. I can't remember if it's mineral spirits or rubbing alcohol, but you can take a little cotton swab and get that off if that's happened to you. Don't let it ruin your project bags. But anyway, that's a tip if you like the vinyl ones like I do. All right, now let's move into a few things from the shop, and I have patriotic pieces to show you too. Patriotic pieces and patriotic patterns. So our shop is coloradocrossstitcher.com. Thank you so much for your orders. We just so appreciate them, and we have so much fun pulling your orders and contemplating what you're working on. Some of you pick the most beautiful palette of threads, and we just want to email and say, what is this for? Because we love it. Or we can tell when you're adding to your fabric stash, which I do so often, or adding to your pattern stash or whatever. We just have fun pulling your orders and wrapping them up and getting them shipped off to you. So thank you again for your support. I brought a few of the samples that I've probably shown you a long time ago in my floss tubes, but they are at the shop, so I pulled them today so that I could show you, since I was pulling different patriotic patterns. So the first one is this Souvenirs of the Heart Star Spangled Spectacular. So this is a Brenda Gervais. And this one I think I stitched 1/1 on 32 count or 28 count. Whatever's called for. The pattern calls for it. Obviously you can make it any size you want to, but it turned out really cute. I thought. I liked this one. And then another one that I had done by Brenda is a basket full of summertime. And I said this before, but the whole reason I wanted to do this is because the little dog is carrying a flag. And I thought that was such a cute little detail. I love the detail that so many designers add to their pieces, but I just think Brenda really does a good job of that too. So here is that finish. Yeah, that was a fun stitch. And then the last sample I brought to show you is a Plum Street. I also love Paulette's so much. And this is George and Martha. Super fun. On top of their house in Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon, right? And here's that one. So it's fun to have just seasonal projects to put out. I think, you know, when I used to cross stitch back in the 80s and 90s, my mindset was when you finish it, you put it on your wall and you leave it on your wall. You don't ever tuck them away. And back then we pretty much framed everything, right? Or we didn't frame it at all. We rolled it up and put it under the bed. But what I loved when I got back into stitching, because at the time I thought I don't have any more wall space for all of these framed pieces. What I loved when I got back into stitching is finding different ways that you can finish things, like on these wooden pieces or on that little stand that I'm going to use, or pin pillows, or finishing it on a board. But I also love the concept of you don't have to keep everything up all the time. How fun is it to maybe have a little cabinet like this or a big shelving system that you just change out for the season? it's not hard to change a little thing out for the season. It's a little more difficult to change your whole house over for the season, which I know a lot of you do. But even if you can commit to a little tiny corner to change out, it's just kind of fun. So I brought more patriotic pieces from the shop, and then also we have 2 new pattern lines that I brought to show you. But let's look at the patriotics first. First of all, I want to do all of Paulette's samplers in this series. So this is the Heritage Sampler. I just love everything about these samplers she did. This is a new constellation. I think she did this one maybe at that retreat that I went to at Shepherd's Bush in 2018. I have to look. It was one of these, and I remember my friend Lori was taking that class, and I just thought, oh, she got that pattern, and I love it so much. So those are fun. Silver Creek Samplers has Founding Promises. Now this isn't all the patriotic patterns we have. If you go on our homepage and scroll down past the main picture, there's a link that says Patriotic Patterns, and you can see all the ones that we've got categorized. This is Flag Day Pincushion, Chessie and Me. Patriotic Scissor Pocket, so cute. The Scarlet House. Really cute as a little pin pillow, in addition to making it like a scissor fob if you want to. Red, White, and Bloom from Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle. These 2 are new from Little Robin, Little Liberties, and a tiered tray. What is this called? Freedom Feather Tree. Stitching with the Housewives, Liberty Farm. I just ordered a bunch of new patterns from them. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce this, but it's one of our new lines, and I have other ones to show you. Quarry Ibatakori? I don't know. Tell me how to pronounce it if you know. Stars and Stripes and Quilt. One of the things I love about her designs is they're super fun, first of all, but also I can see so many different individual pillows in so many of these designs. Like each of those squares would make such a fun pillow, and then you'd have a whole display. Aren't those cute? Madame Chantilly, this is a new one from her, and I love the poppies on top of the jar. It's a jar, it's a house in a jar, but I also love the ribbon that she designed. Looks like it's tied on the top of the jar. That cute? Twin Peaks has 2 different patriotic books. So they have Patriotic Ornament Book from 2022. Look at all of the patterns that are included in that. I'm going to show you the back. Maybe that'll be easier to see. And then they did Patriotic Smalls 2023. And okay, so then our 2 new lines are Madame Chantilly and Quarry Ibatakori. And I have a big piece of theirs that I finished probably 5 years ago that I'm now going to frame and put up, and I'll show you that when I get it framed. But Madame Chantilly, I fell in love with all of these tiered tray patterns that she has, and we have several of them, but I just brought some of the seasonal ones. So this is spring. Again, cute little details in these. Winter, so cute, winter. Autumn. And really, you know, you could stitch each season, and she also has like Christmas and Easter, and you could stitch these in one frame and then just swap them out for the season. So then you're not framing all of them, and you have a rotating display. Well, what is this one? Oh, summer. Very cute. Love the lighthouse. And this is a pattern I bought from her probably 2 or 3 years ago. Haven't made it yet, but I just love the hot cocoa. I thought that would be cute, framed above our little coffee and cocoa bar. house. I love these crows. So I might just stitch a crow or two, but they just seem to have so much personality. So that is Madame Chantilly. And then Quarry Batakori, however you pronounce it. All right, this is the one that I just think there are so many little pieces in here that I can see as pillows on their own, or drums. You'll see some of these. So look at this one. Halloween. And I think I bought her other Halloween. Yeah, this one. It just makes me want to stitch Halloween right now. This is fun, a fun snowman one. Again, as a whole or all different little pillows. Oh, I love this Christmas one. So we'll be getting more of both of those lines as we grow them, but super excited to have them. And we've got some other new lines coming in that I'm really excited about. And hopefully we will have those by next time so I can share those with you. But watch our newsletter because you'll learn about them in the newsletter before my next Flosstube. All right, I think that's everything today. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining me. And please leave me a comment because I love reading your comments. I'm really good at keeping up with comments the first week after my Flosstube comes out, which is when most of the comments come in. And then I catch up, you know, week to week. So, but it's always fun to talk to you in the comments, and I always appreciate that you've spent time with me. I just wish you were literally right across the table from me so we could chat back and forth and stitch together. So thanks for joining me. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.